I would do is then move from here rather than setting up URL after URL after URL, and then some dumbass cuts their meeting short or changes their plans and all that work. So it's, you see what it's doing. It's just, you heard my voice twice, but so what I would, it won't let me block. So anyways, I would go here in the prep time that I build in so people can practice. I would just go to their website and, pop in, let's say, um, this is where I wanted to talk with you about this. So it would be like, okay, stakeholder registration and stakeholder stream link. So it's already built. They have to build it. It's their responsibility. This rule, this new requirement isn't going to be all Kelly. It's got to be like every time somebody says they want a webinar, that's the conversation too. But absolutely. So, but the only thing is that I'm going to just get this link, drop it in here, make it live, and we're done. That is the extent to the link stream. Now, if there's a Kim thing that's coming up 3 months in advance and they want it to be a little bit different, we can go to YouTube and we can get a URL, and it's for July 7 from 10:30 to 12:30. And we can do that. And the link will, it's more maintenance. It requires, not a lot, but it does require attention. And so I think that would be, I'd like to limit how much of that I do. So that if that sounds okay, what I'm thinking is the step past that, which is rather than individual webinars being on the individual webinar person's web page, that I would just have on the HickPuff website so that it's public, so that it's not SharePoint, that I just, I used to, and it became so fruitless. It was work for work's sake. Nobody was using it. Webinars in SharePoint. And I liked the organization of that. And if I had continued that, it would be a hell of an archive. But the problem is that it just, it would be like too much to get everything done and then set these into place in SharePoint. Every time I think about it, I think I wimped out. Like I should be continuing to do that. But my point here, is that I want to not go to community health workers and insert a stream here. I want to go to the same page under our stakeholders for our members, or probably for our stakeholders, since members and providers are stakeholders. I don't know. Maybe we do members, providers, and stakeholders. But you get my drift. What I'm doing is I want to come to this page and see an option for a webinar stream. And then just there is a page dedicated. It's nothing more or less than an embedded viewer that allows me to just stream that current webinar to this page. So just a thought, but I guess what I'm asking from you is if there's a requirement for streaming, and if there's a requirement, I think also for audio option, what do you picture that looking like? And like, if that's drastically different, if it's similar, if it's whatever, because I don't think, I might be being simplistic, but I don't think it's, I don't think we need to provide a link for somebody to click and play audio, because I do think that that's actually extraordinarily unique. It's not like I can create a button and embed when you click this button, dial 1833 and put this passcode in. It's not like that. I think that it's a really sophisticated app that allows you to run a phone signal into, or a digital signal even, it doesn't matter, but a digital audio or a phone signal of the webinar into a button, and you click it and it plays nicely without, crazy, messy interface. And so I don't want to go there. I think Zoom gives you a phone number and a code. And so I think what I want to do is change the template of the email that I send to people. When somebody requests Zoom, I have that, unique email. It goes out. It's a Zoom template mostly, but I changed a few things, and I think I could just probably change some of the wording of the basic template and say, if you want to join audio only, please dial and leave it. So that the component for audio only option is real, but it's the registrant's responsibility. So I think I'm shortchanging myself now that I say that, because that person would have to register. And if what they want to do is just listen, you know what? I gotta look at that closer, but I need to figure that out. And I wanted to pick your brain. I wanted to put it in front of you so that maybe the next time we meet, we could talk a little bit about, did anything sound like a good idea, or did it sound like an awful idea, or anything. I don't think I'm going to get through this just by being creative. I think I'm going to have to buy probably something that would be like an embedded, maybe not buy, but go to OIT and say, I need to embed a audio line. How do you do that? That kind of thing. So I don't know what I'm getting into, but I did start looking, just, how you Google it. It's like, oh, there's not much guidance. There's not guidance really. So I'm starting to think about, okay, what's the next option? How do I find out where to go next? And so I wanted to bring that up to you and say that's kind of the quest right now for with related to the future of online meeting requirements. And so I just needed to figure out what to do there. So I'm getting gross, but this, have you ever there is um there are people who work in the Louvre. I don't remember all of it, but they use spit to clean. Yeah. Oh, dude. So I was telling my wife that as I was going like this, trying to get stuff off a wall, because I took the oven out and I was cleaning under the oven. But then inevitably, because we don't have a backsplash, it was kind of splashed on the wall. And I'm like, man, this is not coming off. And if I keep scraping it, the paint's going to come off. And then I was like, hold on. And then I dabbed on it. And would you know it? This stuff that was whatever, however long it had been there, just starts to come apart. It's the enzymes in your saliva that start to break this stuff down. And it's incredible. It's like kind of a gross thing. So, anyways, that was my aside note. I don't know. Sometimes I go off on a tangent, but that is some neat stuff. The saliva approach. So yeah, does that make sense? My request. I just kind of want to pick your brain, see if you have ideas. I'm going in that direction, whatever the case may be. If you have a good idea, throw me a bone. And external only. Yep. Mhm. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, I know, right? Well, that's a busy page already. I, Mhm, 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 mhm. Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, and no, it does. And if I had something on the about us and just, spitballing it, it would be probably I'd have to start making a distinction clearly with people about is this a stakeholder webinar with members? Is this a stakeholder webinar with vendors? Is this, that kind of thing? Um, which I know I can tell that when if I looked at it, like the registrant, for example. It's an easy one. So I want to be really careful not to like, I could see where that could muddy, it could make a mess of things. And then all of a sudden we're dealing with an unintended consequence of having some face exposed to a public website that somebody's viewing and they didn't know it. Or, there is a warning that Zoom is recording. And I have, you know, no doubt that that's not enough because legally, I'm sure that the company would not be the good guy, they'd be the bad guy. I mean, it makes sense that the companies would be held to a standard that the individual wouldn't, but I think that I have a lot to weed through um, in order to post it somewhere, um, like centrally. But the central is nice because it's already central through HickPuff trainers. Like, I just continue to use HickPuff trainer to create those links for people so that they have a central place, not their YouTube, but it's unlisted. It's not, I can search Yamita's name in my YouTube account and see a bunch of videos of Yamita's webinars. I can't do that. So um, there's a lot to think through. And I guess I didn't really realize when Patrick started that conversation and when I started getting people emailing me about what to do, I'm like, this is new. Wait, please. You know, like yeah, the accessibility. Oh God. Yeah. You're dreaming. Yeah. 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 You have too much on your mind. It'll come back. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. 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 Well, so the with Zoom, there's I unfortunately I think that there are a lot of individuals who are probably exposed without really thinking about it to Quora. And but what I've offered when with Zoom or previously Adobe Connect was I mean it's another we've talked about it where I use the term organic and stuff, and for better or worse, I do believe in that approach to for long-term change, but it is an organic message that's taking a while to get to people. But I'm like, hey man, I take that video and when I hand you a URL, I'm going in and I'm deleting everything previous to that. So you have the URL. I have HickPuff Trainer, but I'm not going in there. You are using that URL, hopefully the right way. You are taking that URL off of the website in a reasonable manner because otherwise you're going to be exposed to a Quora request. And so, I think that the message, especially this year with the laws changing, I'm much more like I'm just more black and white with some things with with like the websites. I'm like just simply removing stuff that do not belong there anymore, or reaching out like with the Ramiros and saying, okay, we have a big issue here. And I get that you're going to need, because that's a training page that I'm talking about. It's going to have some history. We know that the training eligibility department has a need for depth on their page. So it's not going to be 1 year's data or 2 years data. There's going to be 15 years of memo series or whatever sitting in there. So I just think that the messages are starting to align and parallel is all. Like all the things that we're talking about are going to be repetitious and similar and related, and therefore they're going to hear it from everybody. So if people are no longer making any attempt at even asking what should we do about accessibility, if they have no conversation, going about accessibility, maybe they will be after a webinar, or maybe they will be after they put a comms request in. And so it is changing, but yeah, it's as soon as like you and I are thinking about something and I'm starting to think, okay, I forgot this angle, and we're in that world. There are people who just don't get it and aren't getting it and don't care to get it. And so I'm wandering in my conversation, but I agree with everything that you've said. I feel like um there's more awareness now, even if there's not any real sense of the sum being different, SUM being different. Right now, it's like the awareness of, okay, this is a different world than we had last year or the year before. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And you, yeah, yeah, I agree. So yeah, I, I will leave that topic. I'm just gonna be trying. Yeah, and I might, take I have a couple of, well, more than a couple. Joel's going to kill me probably, but there are some unpublished pages. I created some pages just in preparation for something. The person never wanted something, so I have that page sitting in unpublished state. So I think what I'll do is clean up the unpublished stuff, but keep an untest or an unpublished test page, and maybe start to look at what it would look like if it were in HickPuff, because that would be the natural place for vendor or partner webinars. Do we divvy it up? Stakeholders go over here, vendors go over here. Do we get rid of like members, partners, and stakeholders and have just two? But the idea would be test it out on HickPuff. If it looks like a reasonable way to organize and view a webinar, maybe that does belong on HFC, and maybe it is best on SharePoint. We make it publicly available or something. I don't know, but I'll start looking at that and start. It's already. Do you want to stream today? We're going to get closer and closer, and it's going to be required sooner or later. But do you want to do that today? Um, that's just going to continue, and the idle conversations of, here are the things that are changing in our world. So kind of keep that in mind. I'm not coming in trying to tell you how to run your webinar, but I am going to add a stream to it soon. Um, so yeah, cool, cool. Okay, yeah, that helps me. Yeah, cool. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Thank you for that. Uh, yeah, it was a big shift for me to just realize that I'm putting myself in like harm's way with all of the material that I collect. So it has been a good lesson for me. Like I'm not going to be the source of Hickpuff um, material. Although, I mean, it's certainly potentially possible. I'm I've got much less exposure than I used to, but yeah. So I know she does. I know she does. Yeah. Thank you. I started self-review is going to be done tomorrow. Yeah, I think it's good though for me to kind of like look at it because sometimes I go the whole year and I'm just cooking and thinking I'm doing my thing and then I get there and I'm like, oh fuck. Right. Was I drunk? Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. Well, yeah, I mean, I told Sarah Gentry, we were talking about it yesterday, and I'm like, you know, she has like A, B, C, D, E roles or goals, and I'm like, talk to Brendan and just, negotiate and say, you want this and I've been doing this and you focused on this and so I shifted to that. It's just allowing me to move around and do projects here and there, but the stuff that we had written back 6 months ago isn't as big of a priority now as it was then. And so, I think she was thinking that um I don't think she doesn't think Brendan is open to discussion. I think that she may have thought that she's hosed, that there can be no discussion about is this the appropriate goal for this year, or is this something that you want to like, because I told her I was like, push back to Brendan and just ask for him to back off if he wants this done. Quit putting this in front of me. So, um, yeah, 'cause Brendan, I think so. I'm sure of it. Yeah, maybe to Connor. Though they that's an interesting thing that you brought up about HR too, because um I think that Sarah was saying, basically that she's feeling overwhelmed by them, and so we did a quick check. They have 38 staff in HR. Yeah. So I was like, you need to say to Brendan because she wasn't hired to do the performance. And mhm, it's yeah, yeah. I yeah. Well, and I told Sarah, I was like, I think that there are more than enough positions in there that may need to identify the role of performance as theirs because HR, we don't belong. Yeah. I I can look at too much information and I can, as a performance representative or a performance specialist, I could, you know, I don't belong there. Sarah doesn't belong there. Somebody has to, and we will be there, but HR needs to get that done. And it's a total aside note, but um, yeah, when I was looking at the numbers, I was like, nope, you need to get back on that argument with Brendan because they've got firepower. So totally. Connor would be spectacular in performance. Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah. Yeah. Well, but no, it's the mantra. It's the communicating the same thing, even if it's not instantaneous change. It's, you and Natalie and Brendan and everybody in this world, or everybody in this circle, they're saying, isn't this better and more appropriate coming from HR? It's just like, dude, sorry, I don't mean to call you dude, and I don't mean, but it's like, I periodically lose my patience when, because we audit, right? I mean, that's part of the LMS's duty, is just, there's a lot of audit. And I I just I get fumed by the same issues coming up over and over, which is that we have this source of data and that source of data, and we're the ones trying to negotiate what's accurate. And I'm like, Sarah, we are not the ones to do this. And so, when, yeah, and we have to come to a point where we decide that's not the right source of data here. We got to use that database. And it's like, I don't know how to defend that. I don't, so what I would defend is, oh, yep. Uh, go have fun. Sorry, Sarah was pestering me for something, and I forgot to respond to her. But what was I saying? I don't remember. But oh yeah, yeah, just that HR will get there, and at some point we'll hear, like, because I've said to Natasha, I've said to Connor, I've said to Matt, I've said to anybody who will listen, that we're getting data as well as we can, and we're getting it better than we used to, and it still feels like a squirrely kind of sucker. So anyways, um I talked your ear off today. Did I cut? Okay. Did I cut you off from anything? Okay. Um, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Um, I think, incurring a little bit each day over the last few weeks, um, where I feel pretty solid about taking an hour, hour and a half, and not making it up. Are you okay with that? It's just yeah, I don't necessarily bank hours, but I've been doing 1 and 2 hours here and there through the weeks, and I wanted to just balance that out. If it's okay. If you don't like that approach too, tell me, and I won't do that. So, okay. Oh, cool, cool. But then thank you. I appreciate it. And I will hopefully have, I'm just gonna keep picking apart that issue, and we'll get an outcome that's good. Um, so yeah, I'll start basically getting people on board with streaming, and we'll find a natural place for where that lives. So good. Thanks for thinking it through. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is. It is. And when I said that to Gina, um, I was like, you got no hits for the last 2.5 years. So it's a it's crazy. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a personal attack. And that taught me that when I go through the web pages, I was asking Joel, I'm like, tell me, just get me to the data where I can go to and say with definitive information, this link equals this many hits. So can I take that off the page now? Kind of thing, an argument that doesn't have any tension in it because it's without data, it's tense. So, or it can be. Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Tomorrow's Valentine's. Yeah. Well, happy Valentine's. All right. We'll see you somewhere. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
came from Nancy Dolson, likely not going to be able to get a meeting here today.
Okay.
That's okay, because next time for sure. it will be,
Absolutely.
so
No worries.
it's not a waste of time whatsoever.
No, I don't take any of that as a waste of time. So you have a my file. I don't know which charge it's in this.
Okay.
So, I would say electronic over there. And if you, you are guaranteed not to need the room.
I believe so. The unfortunate thing is that this meeting is open to the public for it's going to come in.
Yeah.
But
It's,
regardless, I'm sure by next month we'll be in here.
Yeah. This will be replaced. This is a weak link right now. It's, unfortunately fucking expensive cable. All right.